All right, happy Tuesday, everybody. Oh, look at that. We just missed that Spotify ad. Thanks, Spotify. How you guys doing today? Ooh, I love this view. So fun. Hope you guys brought your coffee. I've got mine here and a refill, as we are ready to go. You gotta see it, right? There you go. Much better. Again, maybe someday we'll be back on campus and I can share my coffee with you without all the restrictions. Like, we're not supposed to eat or drink in the lab and take our masks down and whatnot. So, yeah, happy Tuesday. If you didn't see the news, Dearborn did announce the winter semester will pretty much be exactly like the fall semester, mostly online. No, I'm not in search of followers, thank you. You can go away, sir. Come on, where's the band hammer? Come on, come on. Where's the band? Yes, gone. Look at that, moderation. Anyway, so we'll be mostly remote again come fall, and what that'll mean for 2001, if you guys do want to continue on and take Computer Science 2 for data scientists, is even the lab will be fully remote. We were only doing in-person labs for the first programming class, just to get a chance for people to get in, use the computers, get set up. I can kind of walk around and get within 6 feet of your computer and kind of see if I can, squint real close at your code and see what's going on. So we've had a couple people come on in, which is great. That's our chance to ask questions. Next week, that is next Monday, the 28th, I won't be here. I'll actually be out of town all week. We're going to Philadelphia for my daughter to have surgery there at the Shriners Hospital. So I'm hoping the hotel internet is fast enough that I can still stream classes. I only need like 2,000 megabits, or no, I'm sorry, kilobit. So like 2 meg up to be able to stream decently. So, and I don't think most hotels have tons of people, really hammering away at their stuff. So I don't have any big concerns there. That should be okay. If it's terrible, I've got a class Monday I'm going to try it out on, and if it's terrible, what I'll do is just record a video for you and apologize, and I'll be around to answer questions as we go from there. So we've got some options moving forward. Let me make sure our GitHub is up to date. How's it going with labs? I think I got all the lab zeros graded now. Let's see, 501, fall 2020. Oops, I can't type at all. Maybe, come on. There goes. Oh, I don't know what I did in OBS. Oh, I was typing in a text box there. Get rid of the text. Delete text. Sorry, one of these days I'll learn how to use OBS maybe. Oh yeah, so I added this in. If you had a chance to look at your Chapter 3 quiz, on that one's out there as well. Let's head on back over here. So we've got this going on. We'll take a look at our schedule, and then we'll look back at some upcoming assignments. Just a little housekeeping before we get going and actually write some code. Well, our schedule's here. All right, so we are moving into Chapter 4 on Zybooks, the branching chapter. This is where code finally starts to get fun. So we spend a little bit of time doing some basics, learning about different ways of storing data, having those variables from our users. And now we're going to start making our code smart. So once we can do branching, we can actually make the code be a little better and be a little smarter about what it needs to do. So we'll look at some examples today, and then we'll look at some more examples on Thursday. We'll have a lab on Monday that'll be fully remote. Again, I won't be there, so I'll just post the lab assignment, and I'll hang out on Discord to answer your questions if you have any. We can go from there. So we are moving along, doing pretty well. Don't forget the Chapter 2 quiz is due tonight, 11:59 p.m. Again, I posted a little bit late. Looks like 7 of you got it so far. Thank you. And again, the lowest quiz score is dropped in Canvas. So if you miss one or you just do terrible on one, don't worry too much about it. The lowest one will get dropped. And a couple of people have gotten in that next lab. So great. Thank you for getting that one in. Chapter 3 quiz coming up by the 28th, which is what? That's next Monday. Took me a little while to post that one for you. Sorry. So we'll make sure you get at least a week for everything I assign. So that one's next Monday, 11:59 p.m. After we talk about branching on Thursday. Hopefully I'll remember to write the quiz, and I can get that loaded up for you. Maybe I can even do it early, right? It's not a terrible idea. Do that early. And then on Thursday we'll talk about our first project for the class. So remember, most of your grade from the class comes from your projects in the final project. So the final project is separate from the rest of the projects. Excuse me. I need some more of my coffee. Well, let's get this loaded. Come on, where'd you go? I just had it. Just had it open. There it is. Maybe. Just thinking about it. Here it is, right? So 10% for doing the labs, 10% for the quizzes, 10% for doing the zyBooks. Again, I'm not going to check the zyBooks until the final exam. It's just too much work for me. I'm not interested in doing it. You have quizzes as your incentive to keep up with the reading. Projects makes up 25% of your grades. So we should have about 3 or 4 projects. It should be 4 because we do 1 every other week. So we'll do 1, we'll do 2, we'll do 3, 4, and then you'll get your final project this week, and you'll have a month for that final project is the goal. So we'll do 4 projects to make up 25% of your grade. Those are like bigger homeworks, bigger, not necessarily lab assignments, but something bigger. I'm not going to give you all the steps, and then that final project. And again, the midterm, I'm sorry, I haven't fixed this yet, although we are down to 14 people. So maybe if someone did drop, maybe we will do it in the lab. I'll think about it. So I know I promised it remotely, so probably don't want to change my mind again. Flip-flopping is no fun. All right. So let's do some Python. Excuse me. And maybe the Lab 0 might be a good one to start off with, because we had done that little college cost estimator, and we didn't actually have a way of saying, well, if you're taking more than 12 credits a semester, you're only paying for 12. So why don't we see if we can modify that as we go. So let's let PyCharm do its thinking. Man, maybe I should have rebooted my laptop. It's like really slow right now. Ooh, while that loads, let me do a little poll, because these Twitch chat polls are fun here. Let's see. All right, it's loading. I have to start a new project. Oh yeah, we need that. Come on. All right, so I started a little Twitch poll. Go ahead and give it a vote. It should be right there in Twitch chat. Just how are you feeling about Python so far? Just go ahead and pick an option for me. I can delete all that. Don't need the scratch. File, new project. Make sure I put this in the right spot. So go ahead and vote on that poll for me. Yeah, this was my homework I was doing for the data mining class. I started my own repository. So let me go back to ours. This is chapter 4, branching. And we'll do it in this window. That's fine. So go ahead and give a vote there in the Twitch chat. It should be right above at the top of chat. You can pick how you're feeling about Python so far. Again, we are officially in, what is this, week 4, right? Week 4 of classes. So holy moly. We are moving along one more week, and we're a third of the way through the semester, believe it or not. So that's kind of cool, I guess. All right, so we got 4 votes for solid OK. I think that's all the votes we had there. Okay, that's fine. So it's solid OK, that's good, right? It shouldn't be necessarily easy for you. It's all brand new stuff, right? And if it's not brand new, you're probably bored, so ideally you weren't taking this class. Sure. So solid OK is good. That's why we have practice every week. We do our lab assignments every week. We got homework to do, because really the only way of getting better at coding is to write more code. That's the way you get better at things, right? You're not going to get better at it just by watching me. You know, as much as I'd like to imagine I'm so fantastic, right? I'll be honest. Just watching someone do it's obviously not the same. So let's see. The class here, only 12 people have zyBooks out of the 14. And that's okay. If you don't want that 10%, sure, that's fine. You don't necessarily have to get the textbook for a class, but I'm pretty confident I can say if you actually read the textbook, you'll do better. So, but that's okay. and got decent participation. Not very many people have taken those Xylabs yet. Please don't get behind on them. Like, that's the worst thing you can do to yourself, because they make up the bulk of that 10% you get from Xybooks, the way the points are distributed. And if you leave them all for the end, you're just going to make a pile of work for yourself, and you'll be really unhappy. So do keep up with them. Again, the more you practice, the better you get at it, right? That's the whole goal. All right, so we were going to do that college cost estimator, right? And then we're going to add in some more interesting features here, right? So we wanted to figure out how we can cap your cost per credit at 12 credits per semester, because we now do this block situation here. So if you don't mind, I'm going to skip the name. Hey, Dodo, how you doing? Or not Dodo? Happy Tuesday. So we'll skip the name because that was just for some more fun practice there. So what we need to figure out is how many more credits they need. We'll just cut to the chase. We'll say how many more credits they need. So this is credits remaining equals an int of an input. Right, we'll take that input and convert it right away. If you want to do it 2 steps, that's perfectly fine. You can do an input and then you can convert. I just like to do it in 1. So how many more credits do you need? And again, we're taking a little bit of shortcuts here. That's okay. I'm just trying to make this a little shorter here. And then we'll have a cost per credit of an int of an input, which does 1 credit cost. And then we'll have credits per semester equals an int of an, yeah, that's an int, because you take an even number of credits. Int. How many credits do you take per semester? It's a little bit long there, sorry. Maybe I'm too zoomed in. I can zoom out a little bit, right? That's still readable on the screen there. Not too terrible. De-enhance, is that a thing? Okay, and then we needed to figure out now how many more semesters it was going to take. So we needed to do some rounding for that, right? So we used import math, and then we said the number of remaining semesters is, that's my credits remaining, divided by the credits per semester. And we wanted to round that up. Semesters, sorry. I'm a little terrible at English. We want math.ceil. We looked at math. Math. There it is. Oh, I was thinking about it. Almost had it. Too slow. Math. Come on, computer. Math.ceil. There it is. Math.ceil. So if we round that up, right, because we're going to go to the ceiling, the next highest even number. So if it worked out perfectly, right, it's not going to round anything. But if it didn't, then we're going to round up. Friends of Great Refreshers. Hey, Blowfish. Thanks for hanging out with us. All right. So now we've got that number rounded up. Now we wanted to find out the cost per semester. So we wanted to check if here. So you know, like in English, we're saying if you take more than 12 credits, you're only paying for 12. In Python, we get that exact same syntax. We can say if the credits per semester is greater than 12. So you get the same lovely math syntax, greater than 12. Right? And we can even say greater than or equal to as well. Any way we want to do this. Excuse me. And Python doesn't care. We could also say if if 12 is less than or equal to credits per semester. Credits per semester. Right? Either way you want to do it. I usually see variable names first and then these numbers later. But again, I mean, both are technically correct. Either one's perfectly fine. So we're saying if your credits per semester is greater than or equal to 12, your cost per semester, even that might not work out perfect. Let's see, because we want to do the block for all the 12 minus, right? Because we know how many more semesters you have, but your last semester, if you don't take 12, you're not going to pay that full amount. That's interesting. So let's do that. So let's we have some arithmetic, right? So this is credits remaining, right? In last semester is going to be my credits remaining. And if remember we had this cool modulus operator. Modulus would give me the remainder when I do some division. So if I divide that by credits per semester and get a remainder here, now I'm going to have the last couple. Right, so unless you're exactly even, which is okay, you might be, it's perfectly fine. Right? If we have 60 credits left and we're taking 15 per semester, we can do it in exactly 4. There's no remainder, not a problem. Give me just 1 second, folks. I got a knock on my door. Give me just a second. I'll be right back. I gotta go capture the toddler who's trying to run away. Apologies.
Blade razor, 2 razor refill cartridges, prep scrub, translucent shave butter that softens hairs and leaves your skin feeling smooth, and post-shave dew that refreshes and hydrates. It's the best $5 you'll ever spend. Unless you buy some winning lottery tickets. Visit dollarshaveclub.com/Spotify. Refills ship at regular price.
The doctors and nurses here want to give you hope, but you deserve someone to show you mercy.
Witness the origin story
How different I would be if someone had.
of one of the world's most iconic characters.
What's the name? Ratchet. Mildred Ratchet.
From the creator of American Horror Story.
I should have never let you into this hospital.
Letting me into this hospital was the best decision you ever made.
Ratchet, now streaming only on Netflix.
We use this tiny microphone to find out how your taste buds feel about new Bud Light Seltzer.
One more sip. One. Oh, they're gonna do it.
Bud Light Seltzer, your mouth's favorite seltzer. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Seltzer, IRC Beer, beer in Texas, St. Louis, Missouri.
And I've been chillin', watching the ocean with you. Baby, up with a slow motion crew. And we up in our growlings when people change, but not us. And we just chillin', kicking it, kissed by the sun. Could be soaked to the skin in the moss soon. I know she got the good vibes when seasons change, but we're the same. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes sound funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. 'Cause you got me holding. Even if my jokes sound funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding.
Alright, sorry about that, folks. Oh, the joys of working at home. Pause that. Sorry, I don't have Spotify Premium, so we get ads. That's garbage, but that's okay. Hey, Professor Peter, sorry. I had to go chase my toddler. He was escaping. So I thought it's kind of cool. He was able to climb over the usual baby gates, because he's like 3. He's actually older than 3. He's essentially a 3-year-old. He had some delays. So he could climb over the regular baby gates, and he tore 2 out of them out of the wall. So I put a 2x4 on either side, and then some little 1x1s to make a little track. And I have a 1/4-inch piece of plexiglass that goes in there now that is 3 feet tall, and he can't climb over, and it's still easy enough for us to see him. So we have a little plexiglass baby gate. Hydration, thank you so much, Dodo. It's coffee time. Yeah, strong baby, strong baby. Man, you're redeeming all those channel bites. A posture check. Where's my thing? I don't even know where that went. I have that little backboard here that's supposed to be good for my back, but of course I found it online. It was a Facebook ad. And a stretch, yes. All right, that's right. Got to stretch out before we start coding again, right? Uh-oh. Man, I'm a sucker for ads and things online because, you know, you can do that sort of thing with disposable income. Software engineering is fantastic. So I got this cool dice mat here for playing D&D, or dice tray. It's actually a company out of Ann Arbor, so not too far away from us. But maybe not quite as cool as Wormwood, but that's okay. That's another story. So anyway, we were coding, right? So we wanted to see how much we needed to pay using our new block tuition schedule here at Dearborn, where if you take 12 or more credits, you pay just for 12, which is pretty cool. So we needed to figure out how many credits we had in the last semester, right? So how many total credits we had remaining, modulus the credits per semester. So that's the integer remainder after we do this division. So if I had 61 credits remaining and I take 15 per semester, I've got 1 credit left my senior year. Well, crap. And in the real world, you're probably not going to take that same credits per semester then. You're going to try and get 16 in that semester so you can actually graduate and not stick around for 1 more credit. But, we can't necessarily get that perfect. So we'll get close. We could, I guess. It'd just take more time. So we've got all that. Yes. Yep. For sure. The teaching does not pay as well as professional development does. So go figure. Yeah, I think that's in my bio somewhere. I mean, if you just Google me, I'm the only Eric Chernesky in the world. It's not hard to find me on LinkedIn and stuff. So, anyway, we're going to say if credits per semester was greater than or equal to 12, I was going to have a cost per semester. So we'll say cost per semester is equal to my credits per semester times cost per credit. Just some simple arithmetic. But now we know this might be too high. Right, so in case we were taking more than 12, let's adjust. We'll readjust here. So instead of credits per semester, we'll just multiply by 12. Right, so this is an if expression in Python. So whatever comes between the if and the colon here needs to be eventually evaluate to a Boolean. It needs to be true or false. And this is how we tell the computer to make choices. So we say, if this is true, everything that's inside of this if block here, and you know it's inside of the if block because it's indented. So now we start actually caring about our white space here in Python, right? The extra lines in between here and there doesn't matter much at all. But anything that we want to belong to if has to be indented within it. And it's just complaining because I don't have enough new lines here. Sorry. It loves its new lines. Okay, so this is an if. If we have more than 12, we're going to give you the discount. Well, you're only paying for 12 credits here, right? That's the only if here. Nothing else is happening. And then we're going to say the cost remaining in the last semester, right? And then we'll have, so a total cost is equal to the cost per semester times 12. I'm sorry, the cost per semester times, we don't even need number of semesters remaining, do we? This is getting a little bit more complex. And that's okay. Right? We need to figure out if we are taking this many even, right? Or if we're going to have any remainder. So again, we can check. So we can say if the credits remaining in last semester is greater than 0. Because if you said you have 60 credits left and you're taking 15 per semester, perfect. There is no remainder, so this will be 0. So in this case, this will be false and nothing happens. Right, and that's okay. Not a big deal there. But now, so then if that is the case, then we'll have our cost per semester. We'll say total cost is cost per semester times number of remaining semesters, because that's got to be perfectly even in this case, right? So our total cost is, we perfectly matched this out mathematically. We didn't have to have any odd numbers. And again, I know it's not exactly real life, so don't worry too much about it. We're just doing our poor approximation of it here, right? The number of remaining semesters, and that would have come out even, right? If we had 60 credits remaining and we take 15 per semester, it would have been 4. There's no rounding going on, so that's okay. Otherwise, so in this case, we want to say, if this is true, if this is the case, do this thing code. If it's not true, do this other thing. And in that case, in Python, we say else. So else colon, and then everything tabbed in underneath the else belongs to the else block. So in this case, there's just an if. There's no else that happens. Right? The cost per semester is either your credits per semester times the cost, or if you're greater than or equal to 12, you're only paying for 12. So if you take 3 credits per semester like me, then you're only paying for 3 credits per semester. If you take 12 credits per semester because you're full-time undergrad, you're only paying for 12. Right? Even if you take 13 or 14 or 15 or 16 or 17 or 8, or, whatever. Apparently, we're incentivizing people to finish early. I don't exactly know how this works, and I feel like it's actually a punishment to students who do things on the side, like have a job or have family obligations. But again, that's another story, and you can take that up with the chancellor at all of his listening meetings. He loves to hear from students, so go talk to him. He's a nice guy, I think. He seems nice enough. Okay, so if there is a remainder, oops, no, we did this wrong. We did this totally wrong here. If this is greater than 0, this is not correct. So really we want to say, hey, if this equals 0. And remember in Python, the single equal sign here is a assignment operator. The double equal sign is saying, hey, does it actually equal this thing? Some people say equal equal. The terminology doesn't matter too much one way or the other. I don't care how you do it, but just make sure you're not saying equal 0, because that will redline you and you'll say, oh, nope, that's wrong. No good. The error there is terrible, but at least this way we're getting, hey, if it equals 0, there's no remainder, we're perfectly fine. Otherwise, what we want to do is my total cost is equal to something different. It's cost per semester times number of remaining semesters minus 1. Right? Because I'm going to have one leftover semester with not a full credit load. And remember, Python does care about order of operations, so make sure we're forcing our order of operations here. We got a math teacher hanging out watching us. I don't want to upset Professor Peter and forget my, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Right, this still applies in programming land. So this is cost per semester times the number of remaining semesters minus 1, because we knew we had to round up. If we had additional credits in that last semester, right, maybe it was 2 credits, maybe it was 3 credits, maybe it was 9, maybe it was 11 out of your 12, whatever it happened to be, we had some additional. Right, so that's the total cost plus, and now this is getting a little bit long here, so we might as well, we can do it on more than one line, or start with here, and we'll say, hey, add in the credits remaining in last semester times cost per credit. Oops, cost per credit. Make sure that works out right. Okay, so again, you can do it all in one line. I'm zoomed in a little bit, so there's nothing wrong with having it on 2 separate lines here, or we could just stick this arithmetic in a plus over here. Whichever way you want to go about it. Not a big deal. Right? They both get the exact same job done. Okay, so I'm not too concerned one way or the other, which way you do it. Right, and we're done. We either have total cost is this, or total cost is this. Right? That's what I get with this if and the else. So if this expression is true, then the if block runs, and the else is totally ignored. If this is not true, the if block gets ignored, and the else block runs, which is really cool. So now my code can actually be a little more intelligent and make choices based on the input that you're giving it. Code that doesn't have user input or some sort of input is really boring, because it does the exact same thing every single time. And there are some cases where that's useful, and you would do I process this thing and that's it, I'm done. But usually it's based off of some input. And in the real world, again, we're still not really a console application. When was the last time you guys ran a little program and you had to type in at the console, hey, enter some data? No one ever does this sort of thing. We do have some occasionally. To be honest, I still use them at the day job, where we have console applications. But most everything is a graphical application or a website or something else. So we're getting data from other sources, but we're getting data from the console here, so that's fine. So let's say we need, let's do an example, right? Because we want to make sure that this is going to do what we expect it to do. Let's say we need 60 more credits to graduate, and let's go look this up. Dearborn tuition. Let's see if we get a hit. Yeah, that looks right. Office of the Registrar, sure. Tuition and fees. So for fall 2020, undergraduate level for you guys, you are paying $5.48 per credit hour. So $5.48, right? Once you hit 12, and I think we checked this math out, that 548 times 12, 548 times 12 is that block assessment here. 6,576. And that's 12 or more, right? And hopefully you guys are residents. This non-resident fee is ridiculous. It's we don't get half of our funding from the state anymore. I think it's 10% of our funding comes from state appropriations. The idea is if you're in Michigan, you're paying Michigan taxes, so some of your tax money goes towards our funding, but it's definitely not double. This is just outrageous. But again, I don't make the rules, so. Okay, so the math checked out, right? So it's 548. So let's come back here and say 548. Right, 548, I think that was right. Yeah, 548. Okay, if we take 15 credits per semester, what we're expecting to get, and this is always good, right? We want to check our code. If we do 15 credits per semester, we need 60 credits, that's 4 semesters, and we're going to hit the cap here because we are taking more than 12 credits. So we should get this number times 4, 26,304 when we're done. Oh, you know what? I never spit out total cost. Oops. So we'll print. It will cost total cost. And I think we talked about this formatting here, right? These format strings. These F strings, which are fantastic. So 0.0 F, I think that's right, because we don't need any decimal places. Right? So let's try that. Let me just restart here. Stop and start, because I need to output that number. So one more time. All right, so we need 60 more credits. 548 per credit. We need 15. We take 15 credits per semester. 26,304. Oh, we need a comma in there, don't we? Comma? 0.0F? That probably sounds right. Does that number match? 26,304? Enhance, 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 enhance. Look at that. So I think it's doing the right thing, right? And any code that's worth writing is worth testing to make sure it does the right thing. If it's not worth writing, obviously you don't have to test it, right? Because you should always want to make sure that what you wrote does what you expect it to do. And that's that process here that we go through, this iterative development process. We're going to write some code and run it, write some code and run it, write some code and run it. Let's try it again here for fun. 60, 548 a credit, 15 credits per semester. There we go. Now we need to get a nice comma separation. Oh, that's a big number. I have 6 children. That's just for 60 credits. Holy crap. Woo! Okay, good thing I do this thing on the side as a hobby job. Wow. Big number. Blowfish WTF. Yeah, like that's what do you need? 120. That's how many credits is it here? So Dearborn, CIS, CIS. We'll just look at one of our degree programs. You like the data science degree, right? Why not? We'll take a peek at one of our own. I wanted to say it is 120 credits, isn't it? BS in data science. Where is there like the major? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, 120 credits. Okay. So let's do it for 120 credits. 120, and let's just take 12 credits a semester, because that's a normal full-time load. Let's not take any advantage of that block scheduling here. Whoa! Oof. Plus fees and books on top of that number. Oof. All right, I'm going to cry a little bit after I'm all done with this, but that's okay. Don't you worry about me. You guys already feel this, so don't. I guess I'm preaching to the choir. Wow. Oh man. Okay. All right. Anyway, so we have our if and we have our else statements. You don't need to have an else. Just an if is perfectly fine. If you have an if and an else, we'll say they are mutually exclusive. Right. One and only one of these blocks will run. Either the if block runs or the else block runs. Okay. So that's our tuition calculator. Now another thing we can do is we can have more than one if block, which is pretty cool. So we'll say we want to have a score is a float of an input of enter your percentage score. And I'm just going to tell you like 1 to 100, because the more info you give to your users, the more likely they are to enter good values. Because sometimes when you say percentage, I know a lot of you are math folks, you're thinking, oh yeah, percentages are like 0.00 for 0% to 1.0, like a 1 is 100%. And that is mathematically correct. Unfortunately, most of us are mathematical idiots. Is that a fair term? Mathematically ignorant. We don't speak math, that sort of thing. So when most people, when you ask for them for a percentage, will give you 1 to 100, or like 0 to 100, I guess, right? It's possible to have a 0%. And we don't do extra credit, so you're not getting over 100%. There's just no, that just doesn't happen, right? This is college. I don't know. I honestly get offended sometimes when people offer extra credit at the college level. I have done it before, though, and I feel bad about myself. But if assignments don't go well and people have lots of trouble, I give them, hey, if you want to do additional above and beyond features, sometimes you can get them extra points to make up the stuff you missed. So it has happened before, but I still feel bad about it because it just seems weird that at the college level you can get extra points. All right, so we'll ask for a score, and then what we want to do is we want to tell them what letter that score corresponds to. right? Because that's what everyone cares about, is their letter grade, because that turns into a GPA, and the GPA is used for all sorts of terrible things, like figuring out whether or not you're going to get internships or scholarships or graduate summa cum laude or something, cloudy, whatever, something like that. So let's see. So if you are at 63% or less, you get a D. And I don't think there's a fail mark. Is there a fail mark? I really should know this sort of thing here. Dearborn grade policy. Look at that. I just Google everything. Don't memorize anything. It's not worth it. Grades. Grades grading. What a great website. Grades-grading. Let's see. Grade change process. General grading information. It's probably here, right? No? Come on. I thought we had like a standard letter system here that would tell me what all the letters are. Undergraduate. Oh, it's different than the graduates. Lucky you. Here we go. So fall 2019 and beyond. Yep. Yep, D minus. Oh, I guess there is an E mark. Look at that. There is an E mark. Okay. So if you are less than 60%, you get an E. Okay, so that's our first check. We can say if score is less than 60, we're going to print E. Right, that's our first check. So if you gave me something that's less than 60 when you entered a score, you got an E. Now, usually when we talk about this stuff in English, we'd say, you know, we just continue on if your score was this. Now, the problem is Python doesn't know if I'd say another score like is less than 60, what was it here? 60, less than 64, right? You get a D minus. So score less than 64, print D minus. Now the problem is, in Python, these are not mutually exclusive. So if your score was 50, you would say D, or you'd say E and D minus. So we want to link these two together. So in Python, we would say elif, which is shorthand for else if. So if your score is less than 60, else if your score is less than 64, else if, elif, your score is less than 68, right? Let's see. No, less than 67, because a 67 is a D plus. Less than 67, we print just that's a solid D. If it's not one of those, else if the score is less than 70, that's a D plus. D plus, and then forgive me, I'm going to copy paste here because I'm lazy. I mean efficient, right? All these are going to be the same just for the other marks, right? So we have the same cutoffs, right? 73 to 76 to 79, 63 to 66 to 69, right? On and on and on. So we'll do all those here. So let's come back to our code and we'll paste in, oops, that should be backed up one. Now we have 74, 77, and 80 will get us in the C marks. We'll have a C minus, we'll have a C, and we'll have a C plus. And then we have 84 for a B minus. We have 87 for a solid B, and less than 90 for a B plus. And sure, elif. Now we have less than 94 is going to be an A minus, right? Less than, and then I don't think we have an A plus, do we? Yeah, just an A. So at that point now, less than or equal to 100. It's important we change that here, right? We'll print, that's a solid A. And again, there's no extra credit. So, and what we get now, right, we have all of these if, elif, 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 elif. If it's this one, else 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 if it's this one. These are mutually exclusive. One and only one of these will run, and then we'll jump to the end. But what we're going to add is a last else case. Remember we had just if else, like if this is true, else this. In this case, we have a chain of these if, else if, else if, else if. So if this is true, this one runs, nothing else runs. If none of these are true, I'm going to run the else. I'm going to print, that's not a valid score. Did you cheat? You must have hacked the system and somehow got into Canvas and gave yourself more than 100%, because that's just not possible in my class. Right? So we'll say, hey, that's not valid, did you cheat? So one and only one of these will run, whether or not it's this one, or this one, or this one, or this one, or this one, or, you know, one of these blocks will run and we'll get one output here. Are you following me so far? So this is a chain of mutually exclusive if, elif, 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 else cases. So the else here is the default case. If it didn't fit any of these others, well, by default, you're going to get this one then. If it did fit one of these other ones, you're good to go. Now, you might think it looks funny, And I often get a lot of funny looks from people like, well, why don't I have to say score is between 60 and 64? Between 60 and 64 is a D minus. Well, what happens is if it's not less than 60, I can't get to this if unless this is false. So I already know you're at least 60 or higher when I get to here. So now I've already cut off the range, right? So like if we're, let's draw this out because drawing is so much fun. Sometimes I miss my terrible handwriting. I know it's bad. I'm sorry. Maybe I shouldn't draw, but it's fun sometimes. Right, so we're saying, hey, this score here is a range, right? So 60 and below, here's an E. Here's like 64, that's our D minus, and our D from 67, and a D plus, and on and on and on, right? So like each of these is kind of like checkpoints here, 70, and on and on. So these all kind of line up here. So we're checking this direction as we go. So we're saying, hey, if you're less than or equal to that, great. If you get to this check for, hey, are you less than 64? I already know you must be at least here, maybe farther. And then maybe you check past that one, and then I check the next one. Are you less than this one? Nope. All right, are you less than this one? And you just keep on going. So it's kind of like this effect where, I don't know, if you want to like imagine a waterfall, like, hey, you're falling down, and if you fit into this one, great. Otherwise, you keep going, and you keep on going, and you keep on going, and you keep on going. Oh, am I losing my bandwidth? I'll go back to Twitch Inspector. Looks like my stream froze. Yep, shoot. I am unstable. Tell me when I come back. I'll drink some coffee. I wonder if one of my kids hopped on Zoom or something. Like, Zoom is such a bandwidth hog. I hate it. Alright, I'll drink some coffee while we wait. My phone is going nuts here. Yep. Oh, bummer. Okay. This is crazy. Okay, lag on. Sorry about that. It might be my Ring cameras. I got these like Ring alarm system, and all the kids just ran outside. Just a second. I'm sorry. Life is crazy at home. I have to call my wife. One of my kids has a piano lesson over Zoom starting in just a minute, so we'll see how that goes. Maybe I can put some music back on.
Took a swing at a wrecking ball, and I prayed for my downfall, and I found a way to reconcile, 'cause in my heart it's not worthwhile. It's a bloody battlefield where some go down, others heal. In the end it's all the same. All you can do is play the game. Oh, do we say goodbye? Refuse to question why. I'm sad to say I'm sorry, so lie. Pretend that you're okay. Swear that you will stay. Keep trying for one day. I'm sick of all these lies. Don't care if I capsize. There's nothing left for me to hide. Don't wanna live a lie. Too many lows, too many highs. Too many things to criticize. And so I leave it all behind. Don't wanna live a lie.
Alrighty, I think we're back now. Let's see. Can I pause this? There we go. Oh, you can't see my screen yet. How about now? Sorry about that, folks. Alright, so we're doing our if, else if, else if. So these are mutually exclusive. One and only one of those will run. Right, if we wanted to, we could do this essentially the same thing here without making them mutually exclusive. We just need to be more specific here. So again, this first case is fine. You know, I'm just going to grab all these because that's fine here. So if your score is less than 60, that's an E. Then instead of an else if, we can say, hey, score is greater than or equal to 60, less than 64. So this syntax is allowed in Python. Python's really fancy. Most other languages you can't do this sort of sandwich mathematical notation. But this is saying, hey, if it's between 60 and 64, right, less than or equal to 60, less than 64, get a D minus. If it is greater than or equal to 64, right, but less than 67, it's a D. So you can see why we wouldn't prefer this syntax, because it's more work, right? And we don't want to do more work than we need to. Right? I mean, who wants to do more work than they have to do? But we could do this. And there's one other reason you wouldn't want to do this here. I'll tell you in a second, once I make sure I type all the right stuff. I don't want it to screw up here. It is 77 less than or equal to score. If 80 is less than or equal to score. If 84 is less than or equal to score. And if 87 is less than or equal to score. Keep hitting that other key, sorry. And if 90 is less than or equal to score, oops, and 94 is less than or equal to score, or less than or equal to 100, we get an A. Now I can't really have this else, right? Because the only thing it would attach to is this score here. So, I mean, I could check like if it's over 100 at that point, perhaps. We'll say like if oops, not in caps, sorry. If score is greater than 100. Right? Or I guess you could, if you want to keep the same syntax, like 100 is less than score. Either way is perfectly fine. That's not a valid score. So we should get the exact same outputs. Let's try it. So throw out a score for me. What percentage should we test? I'll just throw in some other credits here. Okay, so what's your score? Anybody want to try? Give me a score. We'll see what kind of letter grade you get. Maybe somebody. This is the part I miss of being in person. Like, we would just sit there in awkward silence until someone like realizes no one else is going to talk and they're going to volunteer an answer for me. I've done some teacher training to hopefully be a better teacher. And one of the things they say is silence is okay. You should lean into the silence and just wait for it to encourage someone to talk. 92, thank you, Sabuski. 92. let's see, A minus, and we got the exact same number both times. I think, I mean, the steps are pretty close, Blowfish. There's other things we could do, right? We could try and map these sort of values into lists or dictionaries and all that fun stuff, but that's probably harder than we need to do for this something this simple. But in this case, we don't have mutually exclusive values here, but because we know the ranges here are exclusive, one and only one will run. So it's possible you screw it up, though, and you mess up one of these ranges and you'll get two different values. So typically what I'll suggest is that you test every single range and make sure that your numbers will go in here. Now you don't need to like test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but like pick a score that'll hit here, pick a score that hits here, pick a score that hits here, on and on and on to make sure that it worked well for you, especially when you're getting graded on stuff like that. So it's, you know, spend a little bit of time to test your code and make sure it does what you expect it to do. Any code that's worth writing is worth testing. Okay, so we have some relational operators here, or less than or equal to. Up here we did the equality operator, like does it equal 0? We could also, if you want, does it not equal 0, this way. It's the exclamation equal sign is not equal. So you've got some options there with your operators. Go read that in Zybooks. Take a look. Right, so we got those operators. So the relational ones, right? How do we relate to others? Or equality, right? Do we equal with our equal sign here for our operators? Let's see. Making sure I don't miss anything here from the text that's important. And you can check strings. Like you can say, does one string equal another string? Which is pretty cool. It's going to do one character at a time. Right, so we'll say, hey, let's we'll get a name is a input. Enter your name, and we can say if name equals Eric, then we can do something special. And we'll say, can we be done yet? And if it's not Eric, then we'll print pay more attention. Great. So with this equality operator, we can check, hey, does it equal the string? And what it's doing behind the scenes, remember we talked briefly about each character is really just a number value, that ordinal value, the ASCII table. So it checks one character at a time. Does this character equal the first character name? Does this character equal the second character name? And on and on and on. And it is case sensitive, because a capital E is not the same as a lowercase e. So let's try that. We'll see if we can get some values. Aha, enter your name, Eric. And it says, can we be done yet? Because it matches Eric. Perfect. Now, when we deal with input, though, we often run into trouble because, I mean, sure, names, we're pretty good at capitalizing the first letter. Pretty good at that. But what if, like, I had caps lock on? Right? Is uppercase Eric going to match lowercase Eric? No, it's not. So if we're dealing with user input, a lot of times what we can do is we can take their input and we either change it when we get the input or we change it when we compare it. My rule of thumb for that is if you're going to compare it more than one time, change the input. If you're only comparing it one time, then fine, we can do it right here on the variable in the comparison. So what we say is name dot lower. And that will turn all of the characters into lowercase letters so that I can compare it to an all lowercase string, which is fantastic. So now if I type all uppercase Eric, 1. Oops, my name was 1. That was wrong. My name is not 1. Come on, too many ones. Right now, if I type Eric, you know, all uppercase, it still is going to match with the lowercase Eric, and we get the "Can we be done yet?" option. The computer's even the computer's bored. It's begging to be done. It will be done soon. Don't worry. Don't have too much longer today. Right. So lowercasing or uppercasing. There's also a dot upper, whichever you prefer. For some reason, I always go to lowercase, but maybe upper is a better option here. I mean, sure, doesn't matter too much. It's okay. We can do that. You can also compare, like we know names are really just sequence types from what we talked about last week. So you can compare lists and tuples the same way. It'll just compare each item in the sequence to see if they match. Comparing dictionaries works because they check, does each value match each key that we have? Because they're the mapping type. It has a key with an associated value or a mapped value. We can compare those with equals and not equals. So we can do a lot of cool things with if, else if checking. You can have ifs inside of if statements, right? So like, hey, when we ask them, that's not a valid score, did you cheat? We'll say, you know, answer is input. Well, did you? Right? And if answer is equal to yes, and maybe we want to lowercase that, right? Dot lower yes, then we print you fail. Otherwise, print wow, you must work really hard. Right, so we'll ask them, hey, if that's not a valid score, did you cheat? So this if can be inside of another if block. It may or may not ever run, right? Because these are mutually exclusive. One of these will run and only one of these will run, but we can nest them inside of here. And you can have ifs inside of ifs inside of ifs inside of ifs inside of ifs. I typically like to say if you've got more than 3 levels in, you've gone too far. But we don't really have the tools to fix that at the moment. So I mean, as far as we need to get, it's okay. Don't worry too much about it. But like if you start getting tabbed in and tabbed in and tabbed in and tabbed in, it's really hard to see anything over on like just the right half of your screen, and that can be kind of sad. So just be aware. It's typically bad form to go that far with your nesting, but nothing says you can't. Right? It's not a big deal. All right, the book has more good examples there. We're going to save the Boolean operators for Thursday because that is a whole other story there we're going to get into. So I think we're actually pretty good. Let's take a look here again. Let me go back to chapter 4 and see what we got. Yeah, we can do Boolean operators. So let me leave myself a note here. Print on Thursday. Start with 4.5, Boolean operators, and membership operators. And then there's a couple other things. Order of evaluation is important. This code block that tabbing in is really important. And then there's this crazy conditional operator, which I don't really like, but that's okay. Forget the conditional operator. Cool. So I think that's all we've got today. Take a couple extra minutes of your day here. Right? Don't forget you do have that chapter 2 quiz due. Not very many of you have turned it in yet. If 14 people are still in the class, I guess only 12 bought the book, so I don't know how many. I need a couple more of those. They're not due till 11:59 p.m., but do make sure you get those in for me. All the lab zeros should be graded. If you have questions about it, let me know. I think 1 or 2 people asked you to fix something and resubmit it. That's usually fine with labs. Like if you got dinged on something, I'm typically happy to take it again if you want to go fix it. But again, the labs are your practice. The ranged ifs, yeah, the ranged ifs are fantastic. It's wonderful in Python that you can sandwich like that. In other languages, you have to do these Boolean operations and other stuff, and you know, it's not bad, but that's you know, the less code we can write, the more efficient we are. So it's a fun little shortcut in Python. Yep. So take a look at your labs. If you did get marked down and you want to retry it, you're welcome to resubmit. There's no like closing date on these things. It'll flag it as late, but that's okay. I'll still take it. And then remember, on Thursday, we'll cover the last little bit here of chapter 4, and then we'll start talking about your first big homework project, Project 0, and we can go from there. Reminder, I'll post it in Canvas too, but no in-person lab on Monday the 28th. I'll be in Pennsylvania, but I'll be around on Discord to help answer questions, whatnot. I'll probably be on my phone, because I think that her pre-op appointment is like at 3 o'clock, right in the middle of our lab, so... but I don't have to do anything for it. I just have to sit there and listen. So I'll have my phone, and I can do Discord and answer questions there. So do let me know how it's going. If there's anything else you need, feel free to reach out, and I can hopefully connect you with the people who have the right services to help with whatever you need. Got lots of cool campus services still. And, ooh, there is... Did we miss it already? I think there was a... Oh, maybe we might have missed it here. Let's see. There was a game night at some point. Yeah, we missed it, sorry. UPE hosted a game night last Friday. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you. They didn't tell me about it till Thursday at 7 p.m. though, so like it was hard to tell you. I guess I could have posted an announcement, I'm sorry. But they're around, so we still have some campus orgs doing some things. There's a gaming club you can connect up with and nerd out, so just go for it. And please reach out. I have no idea if you're struggling. if you don't talk to me. So if something doesn't make sense, please ask me. Right? That's, you know, I'm here to answer your questions. Anyone can buy a book and learn this stuff. Right? I mean, I guess you're paying for the credit, so you can actually get a degree too. But ideally, you're paying for someone to help instruct you in it, and not here's the book, good luck. So that's my goal, and that's what I'm here for. Ooh, width. I'm a dad's English typer. Width. Section 4.5. There we go. All right, so I'm going to push all this code out to GitHub. Right, I just started my project in the right location. I've got a main PY. Life looks pretty good here. I can keep that alphabet. That doesn't matter. So this is week 4. Oops. And I'll commit and push. And all this code, again, is out on github.com. And then I have been loading stuff up in the modules. All this recordings. I export them to YouTube. You should be able to get to the mods as well. Eventually, they'll start falling off of Twitch. So I should have the archive here in on YouTube that you guys can go take a look at here as well, whichever you prefer. Should be fine. So if there aren't any other questions, we can call it an afternoon. I don't know if there's anyone else online. Let me take a peek at Twitch, see if there's any fun channels to raid here. We already did Melko. Have we popped in on Dr. WD-40? He likes to do metal detecting in Florida. It makes me a little jealous of the weather sometimes. We'll see if we can raid his channel, because might as well. Again, they're totally optional. I'll be in Discord hanging out after 40, and I'll see you guys on Thursday then if you don't have any other questions. All right, take care.